Hey Cactus friends, it's Jenny from Cookies Cacti. Gosh, I feel like it's been a while since we've checked in on these Astrophytum and Ariocarpus that we've been growing from seed in this Cactus Seed Soil Battle. And it's actually been 6 weeks since the last time that we did a 30-week update. So now we are at 36 weeks. The seedlings in tray number 1 in our first batch of Astrophytum and Ariocarpus have just turned 9 months old, if you can believe it. And then tray number 2, which you'll notice that some stuff has kind of shuffled around. Tray number 2 is 10 weeks younger, so we're at 26 weeks on the Astrophytum and Ariocarpus seedlings from tray number 2. So as you can tell, some of my setup has changed. I used to have tray number 1 up here, taking up the entire shelf, and I had tray number 2 down below, taking up the entire shelf, but I can't use up that much space anymore. I need the grow space back for other trays, as you can see here. So I moved tray number 2 up here, so now tray number 1 and 2 are both on the same shelf. So just as a recap for everybody, tray number 1, we started off with 6 different types of soils in which we sowed Astrophytum and the Ariocarpus, which are over here, from seeds off my own plant. And for just a real quick recap of what these 6 soils are, we've got the Uni-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm Mix straight out of the bag. We have the Rob Romero mix, which I will encourage you to go and review episode 1 of this series, where I go over what is in the Rob Romero mix, which includes my native soil, which is clay. Not great for growing cactus from seed, but we're going to talk about this in just a moment. The third soil is the Uni-Gro Seed Starter with Uni-Gro Perlite. Fourth soil is Uni-Gro Cactus Mix straight out of the bag. And then we have 2 premium soils, which are from East Coast Kamanchaca, his seed starter, and then the Lofo Pro seed starter from Mike's Rare Plants. And I mean, look at these. They're really starting to look like something. Now I went back to my 30-week update, so the last update video, and I see there's been quite a bit of progress on these seedlings since 6 weeks ago, and I'm going to talk about that as well. So after we started this tray with 6 different soils, we had some question marks about, if I had cut the Uni-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm Mix, which, straight out of the bag, it did very poorly. But if I cut it with inorganics, how would it do? And the other question was on this Rob Romero mix, which had my native soil, which was clay, which didn't seem great. And then the question is, well, if I didn't use my native soil and I just used like a cactus mix, would it do better? So then came tray number 2, which is putting some of that to the test, along with a couple of other experiments. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with tray number 1. So again, these guys just turned 36 weeks old. And I've reordered the soils, and you can kind of see it kind of visually progresses as we go to the end. So let's start with our worst performer, which is the Uni-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm Mix straight out of the bag. There's a few seedlings left in this pot, maybe 4 seedlings in here, and then there's actually some in here with 1 seedling that's actually doing okay. I would say that for sure this is the worst performer of all of the soils. I would not recommend to use this soil straight out of the bag for growing cactus from seed, but as we'll see, if you cut it with inorganics, it does much better. The next soil is the Rob Romero mix. Now the thing is, you'll notice that the seedlings are definitely smaller than the siblings to the back. However, when I look at the numbers are actually really good. I did a little bit of counting, but I didn't have enough time to put data together, but actually just looking at the quantity of seedlings, the Rob Romero mix is actually in 2nd place in terms of quantity. But the seedlings are just considerably smaller than, the seedlings in the other pots. But they're still alive, and they've remained alive. They just grow really slow. Next, I have the Uni-Gro Seed Starter with Uni-Gro Perlite, which is like my old school mix, in which I am actually trying to test if it's actually any good compared to the other mixes. And I've kind of put it in third place-ish, you know, just by visually looking at it. But otherwise, like the seedlings themselves are looking not bad in terms of size. Look, these are really starting to get to the size where you can see characteristics that are much more obvious. And once again, these astrophytums are all like astrophytum hybrids off of seeds off my own plant, where I just randomly pollinated whatever had flowers. And when you grow those types of hybrids from seed, you just get, I like to call it like a box of chocolates, because you never know what you're going to get. And when they start to get older like this, those characteristics really start to pop. All right, so the next soil is the Uni-Gro cactus mix straight out of the bag. And like visually, I'm gonna let you kind of judge for yourself. Visually, I feel like there's more seedlings from Uni-Gro than the Miracle-Gro Seed Starter and Miracle-Gro Perlite. However, like in terms of the quality and the size of the seedlings, I can't really tell if there's a huge difference. Can you? Look at them. Oh. The last two soils are the two premium soils which I purchased off of Etsy. The first is the soil from East Coast Kamanchaka, and you can just see we're talking numbers are amazing. East Coast Kamanchaka soil, I think, wins overall. Of course, we still have about 4 months left to go, but at this point, hands down, I'd say it's the winner in terms of both number and in terms of size and kind of health and quality of the seedlings. I mean, look at that. Look at that hybrid. How cool is that? The only part that's a little difficult is the cost. It is considerably more expensive than you know, these other soils that you can find at nurseries or at the big box stores. But then you know, a big portion of that is just due to shipping alone. The last soil is also a premium soil from Mike's Rare Plants and his Lofo Pro seed starting soil. The numbers on the Lofo Pro soil are not as high as East Coast Kamanchaka, and perhaps not as high as even some of these other soils. However, in terms of size, the seedlings that grew out of his soil are the biggest. I don't know if you can tell here. Let me kind of pan out a little bit. See if you can see for yourself. Like this pot has the biggest seedlings. I'm going to pick up this pot and show it to you. There's some really cool seedlings in there. So when you grow these hybrids like this, I have found that you can get like this, is it Fukurayu? I don't know how to pronounce it. You see those funny bumps and stuff that are between the ribs? And you get the interesting speckles. Oh, look at that. Look at that one big one. Ooh. Over here we have somebody who is extremely hairy. How cool is that? Some of these are more nude, like this one. Some of them are heavily flecked. Like, I don't even know who the parents are. See, like that one that's right in the center of the screen, it has like those white lines along the edge of the ribs. We've got this one's also got some Fukurayu type bumpiness going on, and it's more nude. Isn't that cool? Look at this one. If I had to guess, I might be able to guess one of the parents of this plant, but it's so much fun growing these hybrids from seeds. Now, purists who want, you know, pure species and stuff, they're probably not going to be too happy about this kind of breeding. I can't even call it breeding. It's just Jenny being a huge bee and pollinating whatever flowers are open. But look at how cool that is. So this is in the Lofo Pro Seed Starter in the Mike's Rare Plant soil. The seedlings are just the largest in his soil. And if you remember, his mix came with not only the soil mix, but it also came with worm castings and then that bacteria complex that you add and water in after you acclimate the seedlings to regular air. So I just followed his instructions, and perhaps that makes a big difference. But I'm pretty impressed that Although the numbers of seedlings may be not as impressive as East Coast Common Chaco or even Rob Romero's mix, but the size of the seedlings is just incredible. Isn't that cool? Let me comment a little bit about the watering. So I am watering these guys about once a week. Prior to the last update that I did, I was watering with just plain rainwater. But now my rainwater is so hot that I can't use that water to water these. I don't think that's a good idea. So I've been using tap water, and I was watering. You can see there's some some seedlings here that are not part of this whole seed soil battle. And I was going back to watering with tap water that has vinegar added to it, plus fertilizer that's diluted down. It's the same fertilizer that I showed in my A Lazy Way to Grow Cactus from Seed series. And I had so much of that fertilized water for these are all, not all of them are, some of these are Copiapoa, that I just didn't want to waste that water, so I started using that water that has fertilizer in it on these seedlings as well. But I'm being fair in that I'm watering everybody with that same water. And honestly, I think that fertilizer makes quite a big difference. If any of you go back to that 30-week update, you're going to see this has changed quite a bit. And when I went back to rewatch that video, I saw that a lot more seedlings were kind of really dark colored and they looked stressed, like really stressed. And now there's a lot of green. So I think that fertilizer, even diluted down 10 times, makes a really big difference. Look, we only have so much time here to grow stuff, so I need them to go faster. So I actually prefer having them grow a little bit faster with some help. But there is that change between the last update and now. I wanted to be transparent and let you know that has changed. Okay, let's move on to tray number 2. So tray number 2 is 10 weeks behind. They are 26 weeks old. And I have also kind of rearranged the order of the soils in here, also kind of with a visual progression. So let's start over here. So this first row is the Rob Romero mix, but instead of the native soil, I'm using the Miracle-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm mix. At this age, you can see that there is a difference in these different types of soil mixes in tray number 2. You know, prior I was saying I can't make any conclusions, they look about the same. Well, they don't look the same anymore. I would say numbers wise, they're not bad, this Rob Romero mix, but using cactus soil. But in terms of seedling size, it's kind of the same comment as the Rob Romero mix with my native soil. See, they're actually looking kind of small, especially compared to some of the seedlings in the other pots. The same comment can be made for the Rob Romero mix, but using Uni-Gro as a replacement of my native soil. So for some reason, the Rob Romero mix gets good numbers, like pretty decent high numbers, but the seedlings' growth speed is slower than the other soils. Isn't that interesting? I don't know why. Maybe it's the mushroom compost? Perhaps, I don't know. The next soil is testing the Miracle-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm mix, but cut with that Japanese bonsai mix, which is red lava rock, pumice, and akadama. And I wanted to see if we cut the Miracle-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm mix with inorganics, would it do better? And the answer is yes, it does. It does a lot better. Remember, this is Miracle-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm mix straight out of the bag. This is the same mix, but cut with the inorganics. And the seedlings are looking pretty good. Look at that one right in the center of the screen. Oh. And you can see the other ones, their characteristics, that hybridized, funny characteristics are starting to really show. The next mix is Uni-Gro, but now cut with the Japanese bonsai mix as well. So instead of straight out of the bag, which did quite well for Uni-Gro, we cut the Uni-Gro with that bonsai mix. And between the bonsai mixed with Miracle-Gro versus Uni-Gro, I think that they're actually very similar. So I don't see like a huge advantage of using one cactus mix over the other with that Japanese bonsai mix. Pretty close, I mean, at least to me. I don't know, maybe for you, you can see something a little bit different. I'll let you be the judge of that. The next mix is something a little bit different. I used that Japanese bonsai mix, but I used worm castings as the organic matter. And 2 out of the 3 pots don't look really great, but one of them did pretty well, which I really have no idea why. You know, we were guessing maybe light intensity because this row used to be at the edge of the tray. Now I stuck them all together, but you can see like that pot did really well, but the other 2, I mean, they've got, you know, living seedlings in them, but the seedlings are definitely smaller. The last mix in tray number 2 is just my adult soil. So this is Uni-Gro, 25% Uni-Gro mixed with 75% pumice. Compared to the other pots, it did okay, but it's not the best. Like, I would prefer the Japanese bonsai mix, possibly over that. However, in terms of like price and ease of finding the materials and stuff, the adult mix is pretty easy, at least for me here out in Arizona, because the bonsai mix requires lava rock and akadama and stuff, so it's a little bit more difficult and maybe a little bit more expensive as well. I mean, they're doing okay in the adult mix, but maybe not the best compared to everybody else. So let me kind of pan out so you can kind of see everybody together in one shot. It's really fun to see their characteristics develop though. Let me do some more close-up shots. Maybe I'll do more close-up shots at the end of the video. Okay, so this is all of the Astrophytum. Let's go look at the Ariocarpus now. Okay, so at 36 weeks, I still have the dome on, the plastic dome, and I still have the shade cloth, 50% shade cloth over the dome. And I find the Ariocarpus seem to like it because this is the best batch of Ariocarpus seedlings I've ever had. Let me remove the dome and then let's take a look at how they're doing. Hopefully it's not too horribly dark, but let's take a look. So the seedlings from tray number 1 are in here, and the seedlings from tray number 2 are also here. So there's 12 pots total. Let's start with the seedlings from tray number 1. And I've also kind of ordered the pots in at least visual progression. So let's start over here. So this is the Miracle-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm Mix straight out of the bag. There's actually still 2 seedlings in here, but it's really hard to see. I don't know if you can see the tubercle sticking out in the center of the screen, but it's actually still alive. And there's one more over here somewhere, also right in the center of the screen. I don't know if you can see the tubercles there as well. So there's 2 seedlings left. Again, the Miracle-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm Mix straight out of the bag, not recommended for growing cactus from seed. Next is Rob Romero's mix. The numbers again are not too bad, but you can see that the seedlings look like, if you compare it to its neighbors out here, they're small and they look kind of stressed because you can see their color. They're not green. They're kind of like a brown orange color, almost camouflaged with the pumice top dressing. But the numbers aren't too bad. They're just growing really slowly, just like the Astrophytum. Same, like it's consistent. Next is the Miracle-Gro Seed Starter with Miracle-Gro Perlite, which actually is not too bad. Oh, Cookie just woke up. She's been sleeping in my closet now. She has all these different phases of... Oh. What's going on, Cooksies? She had fluids today. And lots of delicious snacks, right? It's your favorite. Cookie, hi. You made me lose my train of thought for the video. I don't even know which seedlings we got to. Oh, good girl. Okay, back to the seedlings. Okay, I think we left off here. Miracle-Gro Seed Starter with Miracle-Gro Perlite. You can see the Ariocarpus in there. Not too bad. Not the best out of this bunch, but not too bad. And they're still alive. Although I don't hold my breath on Ariocarpus seedlings because I've had many that just up and die at whenever. Next is the Lofa Pro Seed Starter, Mike's Rare Plants. You can see the seedlings in there. Not too bad. Not too bad. But definitely not the best either of the group. Because these guys are still under the dome, I haven't added the worm castings and that bacteria complex. Maybe I can go ahead and do that. And then it'll be interesting the next time we do a check-in to see if there's a difference. Next is the Uni-Gro cactus mix straight out of the bag, and I think that it did pretty darn well with Ariocarpus. And considering how definitely less expensive than the premium soil, so this is actually quite good. I'm very happy with the results. You can really see those tubercles. And then the first place still is the East Coast Common Chaka soil. The East Coast Common Chaka soil did very well on the Astrophytum, and it's doing very well on the Ariocarpus as well. I mean, just look at them. Developing well, still alive. It's very, very, very good. It's the #1 for this whole seed soil battle. And at 1 year, we'll see if it's still true, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be true. And so those are the 36-week-old Ariocarpus. Now let's look at the Ariocarpus from tray number 2. And I also have this in somewhat of an order. First is the Rob Romero mix, but cut with Miracle-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm mix. There are seedlings in there, but they just don't look very happy. Can you see those kind of white, whatever that is, off of the tubercles? They're in there, but their colors are wrong and everything. But they just don't look very happy. Next is the Rob Romero mix also, but with the Uni-Gro mix instead of the native soil. And you can see there are seedlings in there. It's actually a good number of them, but just not so happy looking. Next is my adult mix, which is 75% pumice with 25% Uni-Gro. Also not too happy, but they do look a little bit bigger than the Rob Romero mix. See that? Next is the Japanese bonsai mix with worm castings. Kind of just okay as well. Color is kind of a mix, but not too bad. They're really, really hard to see. Next is Uni-Gro with the Japanese bonsai mix. These aren't bad in terms of size. Color, they look a little stressed, but otherwise it's not too bad. And then we've got the Miracle-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm mix with the Japanese bonsai mix. I'd say these two, they're about the same. So if you use like that Japanese bonsai mix or just that mix of lava rock, pumice, akadama, it doesn't really matter if you use Miracle-Gro Cactus Citrus Palm mix or Uni-Gro. And the Miracle-Gro stuff has one advantage, is that you can find it at pretty much any big box store, I think. Then the rest of these are all just dummy pots of Ariocarpus. I think I tried Fellow Cactus. There's a bunch of Ariocarpus in here with just like random soils and stuff. There's some over here. This is Fissuratus, not part of the experiment. Have some Astrophytum hybrids also, but like Asterias based. They don't have like too much hybrid characteristics in them, but I have a really hard time growing Asterias. I had these guys with these at first. I think they were down on the bottom shelf and they were looking really unhappy. Their color was like brown and I was wondering if they were rotting. And then I moved them over here into this tray, covered them, have the shade so they don't have that much light, and then they started to green up. Cookie. And then over here I've got all this Copiapoa, which actually I will touch upon some of this. I'm thinking about doing at least a video. I don't know if I'll do a series or not on these. That's an entire tray of Copiapoa seedlings. trying one of these types of cactus soils, growing Copiapoa from seed, to try something different. I don't know. Would you like to have this as a series? We'll see. At least I'll get one video out on this, and then we'll see how it goes. So that is the 36-week update on this Cactus Seed Soil Battle. I will be back in another 4 weeks for the 40-week update, so we will go until we hit 1 year. So that will be 4 more episodes in this series. I hope you all are enjoying this. I appreciate the positive feedback from those of you who like this kind of content. Really appreciate it. So I will keep going. It's just a little horrifying that we're only 4 episodes away from 1 year. I mean, holy moly. All right. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you all enjoyed this update. It's really fun to see these seedlings growing up. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, it's so hot outside. If you hear the humming in the back, that's my neighbor's air conditioning, so I apologize about that. This is the fertilizer that I'm using. I don't know if you can read that out at all. It's ProSol, and you can see the numbers. It's 10, 16, 38. I'm mixing this down, diluted down to 1/10 of the full strength. I bought this from the CACSS, so my local cactus society, for $5, probably a couple years ago, and it lasts a long time. No, I don't think they sell this anymore, but the seedlings seem to really like it. I've never tried a stronger solution, just the 1/10. I don't know why. So this is the fertilizer that I've been using.